We are live post the first day of Sweet 16. I'm Joe Jackson. Alongside me is Aidan Kunst. Just finished up a wild Gonzaga UCLA game in which Gonzaga almost they did blow a lead, 11-point lead, I think, in 2 minutes. UCLA comes back. Mari Bailey hits a three, and then Strother takes in transition three from the logo. A shot that I don't like. Nobody could have thought that was a good shot, right? Like when that shot went up, nobody was like, "Oh, I'm glad he took that one," and then just drills it, they make a defensive play, Gonzaga down the stretch and get the win. That was just in general today, aside from UConn Arkansas, just really good basketball in general. And we'll start with the Gonzaga UCLA game, but before we do that, I just want to say college basketball is in such a good place. It really is, and I know there's kinks to work out with the transfer portal and the money and all that. I know there are, but the college basketball product's only going to get better. Baycott's returning. You have, a fifth-year legit star returning. Edie could return, just to name a couple off the top of my head. You have FAU, who's a legit mid-major. They're not a Cinderella. They are a legit team making a deep run. College basketball's in a good spot. It really is. So, but we can start with this Gonzaga UCLA game. What's your initial thoughts? Where we kind of want to go with this?
Yeah, I mean, they ran the Villanova play, right? I mean, they dribble at a guy, hand it off, and you're gonna go under because you don't think he's gonna pull from there. So, I mean, kudos to Mark Few and co for drawing that up, running that play. I mean, it takes some balls there, and they did it. And I mean, I'm still kind of trying to process what I just saw. I couldn't even believe. I really think those two Hawkes and ones, I think they mentioned on the broadcast, that really, I think, was the catalyst to even UCLA having a chance to come back. It felt like they were dead. I mean, Timmy with an all-time performance there just kept him in the game. They had no chance without him in the first half. It would have been just over, and he, I mean, I love his game. I love his footwork. Obviously, without Bona, and even he would have cooked Bona too. So really, who cares about that? But get him in the mid post, and we all know, we've all seen him play for many years now, and he's such a special player. So it was great to see him dominate the game. And then down the stretch, he missed those free throws, and Bailey gets a wide open three, and then they run that play. I mean, I guess you're running that because. And then Tiger almost made a freaking buzzer beater to tie it, which I almost thought that was going to go in. So, yeah, nuts, man. I mean, we said it. This would be the game of the day. I mean, there's an argument it wasn't even the game of the day, but I mean, still, it's a hell of a way to cap a great day of Sweet 16 action. I picked Gonzaga, but watching that game, I didn't know. I mean, the first half UCLA looked incredible, and then slowly but surely behind Timmy, and then they got a few shots to go down when they needed them.
Yep.
Finally, Strother steps up, and then to hit that shot, I mean, wow.
Yeah, and I'm able to get this live, actually, which is cool. So just some stats to kind of pair with this. Let's see, make it a little bit bigger for everybody. There we go. Yeah, Timmy goes with 36, which is just, he was just unreal. 36 and 13, 4 assists. Just an absolutely wild game from him. Like you said, absolutely carried the first half. He had 21 or something. He had 19 in the first half, and they had 33 total. Absolutely carried. Second half, just got what he wanted. It felt like in the post, did whatever he wanted. I really liked Malachi Smith off the bench, and ended up, the stats ended up showing it too: 14 points, 6 boards, 2 assists. I thought he was probably a big difference maker in that second half. Comes in, gives good minutes. It's at least able to slow down UCLA. Plus knock down some shots, because that first half. Okay, that first half defense from Gonzaga, the first half from Gonzaga, period, aside from maybe the super up tempo, that was just Purdue last year, right?
Yeah, no, that was horrible.
Get a bucket and then can't defend pick and roll.
Yeah, no, it's just literally here, kind of a layup line. But yeah, I mean, I agree. I think Smith in for Hickman, I get why they bring him off the bench, but I think in a type of game like that where you're not gonna. Hickman's game is not going to make an impact against UCLA. But Smith can, because he can back you down. He can get in that lane. And now, it doesn't really matter how physical you're being with him, because he can get to his spot. Sort of like we saw it, obviously, to a lesser extent of what Pickett does, So
Yeah,
I liked his
team high
game.
plus 13. Although,
Yeah, he was great. He was great in 24 minutes. I mean, you kind of wonder why he doesn't play more. I haven't seen obviously a whole lot of Gonzaga, but yeah, it was awesome. I mean, Hawkes 29 and 11, not to be outdone. I mean, he was a hell of a game by him as well, and he's physical. I mean, yeah, sometimes I don't really like. I mean, he's not the most aesthetically pleasing player, but just kind of bullies you and gets to his spot and kind of a unique player in that he doesn't shoot a ton of threes and I mean, sometimes he'll take mid range, but he just kind of wants to bully you, you know. And
yep.
he did such a good job of that. 39 minutes. I mean, wow, what a game! UCLA really impressed me. I actually thought the margin might be a little bit greater than this.
Yeah, no, and especially in that first half,
Yeah,
UCLA looked good. They really did, and part of it maybe is the tempo. What UCLA, their starters all played 32 plus minutes, 3 guys off the bench, 11, 4, and 5 minutes respectively.
yeah,
Because I didn't think process wise, like, I thought pick and roll after the first about 15 minutes, Gonzaga, it looked like they went from more of like a hedge to just purely two on the ball, trying to get it out of like Campbell's hands and Bailey's hands in that. But aside from that, like, did you see anything different? Because in the second half, I honestly thought it was just UCLA didn't get to the rim as much, and then they were missing some of the shots they made in the first half. I didn't think
yeah.
too much changed process wise.
No, I didn't think it did. I mean, Campbell wasn't sharp. He
No,
didn't.
not in the second half. First half he was.
Yeah. Second half wasn't sharp, and I think that contributed to it. And yeah, I think, like you said, it really boils down to tempo, and so often maybe we try to analyze something a little bit more than we have to, when it really is just which team wants to play their way, and then can they get it to be that type of game through whatever, making a lot of shots, and then you have to you trying to turn it into a transition game. I mean, we'll talk about FAU that all they needed was a 5-minute spurt to turn it into their kind of game, and they were able to match Tennessee the rest of the game. So it turned into Gonzaga's type of game. Then on the stretch, they're missing free throws. I mean, UCLA just slowly but surely, one possession at a time, got some good, calls to go their way, the charge, whatever.
Yep.
And yeah, then they pulled it out. Bragg's jumping in at 12:30 a.m. Love it.
That's that new Braggs. I don't know if you saw the Twitter video of him going through the whatever football drill it was.
Oh, I saw it. I don't think everybody saw it. I think it went viral.
Probably. I mean, I think he's on draft radars at this point. But yeah, no, I'm happy for Timmy. I want to see him kind of succeed in his last year. Although it doesn't. Well, okay, this is only his fourth year, and it's one of those. It's like it feels like he's been for like 8 years, and he could technically come back.
It feels like he should hang it up, though. I mean, this is
Yeah.
kind of his last hurrah, and he's dominating. And especially if they beat UConn, which no easy task.
No.
But if they're able to do that and make a Final Four and maybe win it all potentially, then I think he has to go out kind of on top. But you want to move to the next game here?
Yeah, just one more.
Yeah,
I just don't want to skim past him. Like, this was an unreal performance. This was a get on my back, I'll carry you, and we're just gonna win. At least in the first half. Second half, he had Strother and Smith step up some.
Not a lot though.
I mean, it wasn't it was still basically any possession where the ball did not touch Timmy's hands. I was like, why? What is Gonzaga trying to do here?
I
just didn't feel like it
well,
was good
especially 'cause
process.
they weren't bringing a hard double, and so at that point, I mean,
and then when they did, Gonzaga drilled 2 threes.
Yeah, I know, and it's reasonable strategy. I mean, let him get his, and
Yeah.
it almost worked. I mean, foul him, get him, make him go to the line, and I thought, they had a good strategy in place, especially without Bona. Like they were. I mean, they're down a couple guys. I mean, if they have Clark, they probably win this game. So it sucks in that respect for UCLA. And as we talk about Timmy, that they have 2 guys whose career probably just came to an end, who've been, staples of the sport in Hawkes and Campbell. I don't know if those guys have. I don't think Campbell does. Hawkes maybe does, but he's not going to probably come back. So, yeah, I mean, that was just a fun game. Like, we've seen those 2 teams clash before, and so many players in that game we've watched for several years at the highest level, which is why I think it was fun to watch. And then obviously the newcomer Bailey hits the shot there, and you think, oh wow, but man,
not enough. What a game. Yeah. Gonzaga, UCLA, they make good postseason matchups, right?
They sure do. They sure do. Let's move to one that was a horrible matchup.
That
a
is,
horrible result, at least.
yeah, that's
Uh,
UConn versus
yeah.
Arkansas. This was the game that this was going on while MSU and Kansas State was
Yeah, this
taking
was the
place.
tune-out game for
And
sure.
Arkansas was very lucky that they were playing at the same time as the Kansas State game. Because I didn't really see anything about it because nobody was watching it, because it was like, okay, well, they're down 25 and there's 20 minutes, there's 18 minutes left in the second half. Yeah, no, Zach Yater says UConn looked phenomenal today. They absolutely did. It's an interesting concept of UConn had that crazy dominant stretch earlier the year. They went on a little skid and everybody writes them off. They get seated possibly a little low. And now it's like they clicked again and they're like, all right, yeah, we're one of the best teams. And that's tough as a 4 seed. They're probably one of the better 4 seeds of all time. Just without doing much research on that.
Right.
Yeah, 88-65. Pretty much they just got what they wanted. They just from the jump, it was their game.
Yeah, and Devo Davis got in foul trouble right away. Yep. That really hurt. I think they're early just in terms of us, feeling each other out. Now all of a sudden your best player's out, or arguably your best player, I guess I would call him that this far. And I thought the young guards showed fairly well for themselves, even for Arkansas, but they were just overmatched. And that's kind of all there is to it. They hung with them for a little while with some shot making, and then ultimately it just got out of hand, as UConn tends to do. I think UConn's defense was phenomenal. They're really, really hard. They're just hard when you haven't seen them, because they are, you think about, we always have these conversations about what teams see in their respective conference. Well, this is basically just a perfectly constructed team if they're hitting shots. So, and so if you're in a conference that doesn't necessarily have the physicality of Sunogo, it's almost like a Big Ten team blended with an SEC team in terms of what you have to prepare for, with the physicality of Sunogo, Klingon, and then just the guards when they're hitting shots. When it's really Hawkins. I mean, when he's hitting shots, come on, what are you going to do?
24 today for him.
Yeah. We
can pull up the stats real quick.
And sometimes that doesn't happen. And again, that when they find themselves in a close game, I'm still a tad bit skeptical. But they haven't. They might just keep blowing teams out. They housed Iona. St. Mary's hung with them for a half. Dukas goes down, and they just blow that thing out of the water. And then the same thing tonight. So, I mean, you think Gonzaga is going to challenge them, but Gonzaga is going to have a real hard time guarding them. And they took it to Arkansas, man. They really did.
Yeah, I mean, it was just from this jump. I want to highlight this right here. This points in the paint, 42-24. And it was bad from the start. UConn just got what they wanted. Sunogo only played 24 minutes just because they didn't need him. Like you said, if this team is knocking down shots, they went 9 of 20 from 3. They're tough. They defend really well. They have an inside game in Sunogo and Klingon. Oh my god. Yeah, I was I blanked on his name and I was scrolling and I was just like, where is his name at? There it is. Klingon. He's two Sunogo's an elite big. Klingon is a really good freshman big. They have the wings. They have good size. Everybody, I think 6'4" plus in their starting lineup, or 6'5" plus. They have shooter. This is a team that just has a bit of everything. They match up, I think, pretty well with Gonzaga. If I were to pick, I would just pick Gonzaga based purely on, I think Timmy just wills them to a win. But if I was to look at it from a strategy standpoint, or X's and O's, I think UConn would have the upper hand in that matchup. I mean, they just shut down Arkansas today. 31% overall from the field is tough to overcome.
Yeah, you look at the stats for Arkansas, the efficiency tells the whole story. I mean,
and that's who they are.
Yeah, it's who they are, and that was emphasized in this one. I mean, it's just, to me, they're just. I would pick UConn against Gonzaga. I finally just said that. I mean, the combination of offense and defense is just hard to find, and I don't. You just don't see that a whole lot. You see that out of elite teams, and I think they're on that level right now. But again, I'm really excited for that game. I think it'll be awesome.
Yeah,
I don't know if you have anything more on that game. That was obviously probably the one we both least watched.
I watched a little bit when it started, and then it was just but that would be in the West region. We'll jump over to the East. We'll start with FAU. My bad. FAU upsets Tennessee 62-55. This was a game. I was more focused on Gonzaga UCLA, so this was more background, catching glimpses. I watched the last 10 minutes fully. and maybe like the first 10. But that first 10, to me, it was just like, oh, this is a game that tended like FAU just finally runs into a team of they have more talent than us. They're bigger. Like they're just going to win. And then, like you kind of alluded to earlier, is FAU just had this stretch of they finally knocked down shots. You said with a fitting Big Ten finish. Yeah, that is true. They finally had their stretch where they knocked down shots. They only shot 8 of 27 from three, which is 29.6%, but 5 of 13 in the second half. And then they caught Tennessee on a game where Tennessee also couldn't knock down shots. When Tennessee played Duke, what was that, Sunday or whatever day that was?
Yeah.
Tennessee was knocking down shots plus defending. This time they were just defending pretty well. And then you have, Plazic with the flagrant foul kind of towards the end when they were losing it. And this is, I think today's kind of just shows where FAU's strength is, and that's in their depth, right? Forrest comes off the bench. I don't think he's a great shooter from what I remember when I scouted them. Comes in, knocks down, goes 3 of 6 from three, knocks down some huge ones. Their guy, John L. Davis, solid game, 15 points, not super efficient, but that's all they need from him, right? Like if they can defend well like this, defend well / get a team that doesn't score well, which is not the case with Kansas State. They have legitimately 4, 5, 6 guys that could all drop 10 to 12 points. And if you have multiple hitting on the same day, they're a tough team. They're not a Cinderella mid-major. They are a legit mid-major team that is talented up and down. And they have, a 7'1" guy can play 20. He played 28 today, 28 minutes, stayed out of foul trouble, and was effective.
Yeah, and then the Rosado kid comes in at 6'9" and a playmaker. And so you got these two different contrasting bigs, and I was so impressed, man, because this was no fluke. I mean, they matched Tennessee's level of physicality and just hung in there, and finally had an 18-2 run and just blew it open, like you said, behind Forrest, who, just like, what the hell? Who's this guy? And he comes in and he's banging threes, and a lot of them are open, but then he hit that tough 2 in the lane when it felt like, and there's that big stoppage because of the flagrant. Then he drives in and hits a tough 2 where you're thinking, oh, did they just lose a little momentum? No, he keeps it going, keeps the run going. Even in the first half, like they don't want to necessarily play through Plazic or whatever his name is. No. Like, so when they were doing that, it's kind of like, okay, this is not like FAU's taking them out of what they want to do for the most part. And Davis was guarding Kamwa and really held his own there for the majority of the game. And I just love that kid's toughness, his heart, man. I mean, he's just a stud. I love his game overall. He's kind of got that herky-jerky game, a little bit like that Sir Jabari Rice kid from Texas, where he uses that shot fake and gets inside and gets to the line. Zach's right. They didn't shoot that well, but they Tennessee, it was Tennessee's style of game, and FAU was just better at it. And that was the impressive part to me. Like, and now I also think they're going to be able to play K-State style of game and probably maybe be better at them than that. I mean, I think they can go up and down with K-State, no problem, and so I'm really looking forward to that game because I'm inclined to take FAU, even though, and we'll talk about K-State. Certainly K-State has the top end talent, but these guys share the basketball. They're tough as hell. They really guard you. I mean, they're a significantly better defensive team, I think, than K-State, and they showed that today.
Yeah, and we'll get to that in a minute. Where I'm worried is I like Davis a ton. He's probably the 3rd or 4th best player on the floor, and we'll see if that matters when it comes to K-State. That would be my main concern there. But yeah, no, they are legit. Can defend super, super well, like I've been saying. Just kind of looking at the stats, like this isn't, and obviously in a 62-55 game, you're not going to have some crazy score unless it's like Timmy or something like that for Gonzaga. Davis 15, Boyd 12. Those are kind of their 2 lead guys. Greenlee is, some of the games that I've watched, he's had some sick passes. Really good facilitator. Golden's just kind of a big that can do not really an offensive threat, but is a big body and moves pretty well for his size, and that's all you can ask for. And then like Rosado, Forrest, Gaffney, Witherspoon, they've all had games off the bench where it's been them that have gone. Look at the minutes. None of them played more than 30 minutes. This is not they're 8-9 deep. Like they are 9 deep.
And they're
do
fresh.
Not care.
Yeah.
What?
They're fresh. They come in at you. They come at you because they don't have to play the minute load that other guys do,
Exactly. And yeah, that maybe that's something that kind of hurts down the stretch, especially with Ziegler out for Tennessee. Vescovi didn't seem quite comfortable
No,
as running that lead point guard role. And
no.
it makes sense if you watch, right? Like he is a super effective shooter. I think he, excels off ball on that. But when they lost Ziegler, it's like, all right, you got to step up. You got to play point now. And he can do it. The effectiveness is gone. And if teams like all FAU needed, like you said, was just that one little stretch. It was just a 5-minute stretch, 6-minute stretch. They knocked down 3 or 4 threes, forced to hit like 3 of them, the floater, like you said, too. And that's all they needed. And if, Tennessee defends really well for 35 minutes, but can't score for 40, that's their kind of recipe for losing. I know, the stats by Will on Twitter.
Yeah.
He put out a tweet of like, this one's going to sting. You lose to a 9 seed. Feels like you have to have it on the cusp of getting to like a deep run. And just like, well, as a Purdue fan, that kind of hit all the spots, didn't it?
True. And they're criminally underseeded. I mean, they're at least a 7.
Yeah.
As far as just, and I would have said that before the tournament. This isn't hindsight. I mean, maybe it is a little bit, but I really, I mean, they won 31 games or some 30 games. I mean, come on. Like that. This is a team that's legit. Their coach is legit. It's kind of funny that they keep winning, so he can't actually get a new job, and he may be out of luck because he keeps winning so much this cycle. So he may run it back at FAU, and I think Conference USA is like 11-1 in postseason games.
I think it's like 13-1 now.
13-1 now, yeah. I mean, it's just hilarious. I mean, I don't really care about the whole like, which conference is doing better or whatever, but it's fun to watch stuff like that. So good for FAU, man. I'm rooting for them. I know K-State is the people's champ, but I'm rooting for FAU. I hope they go all the way.
Yeah, and let's we can transition to K-State unless you had something else.
No, that's all, man. That's all.
Yeah. This was the game of the tournament so far. Kansas State beats MSU 98-93 in OT. Last Big Ten team is gone. Yeah, I mean, like, how can you start this game without talking about Noel? 20 points, 19 assists, 3 rebounds, 5 steals, like literally an all-time performance, breaks the record for most assists ever in an NCAA tournament game. Some of the passes he made are just nuts. Like there's obviously the lob that was sick. Down, minute, were they down 1 or tied or whatever? I think tied.
Yeah, I think tied, yeah.
And then it's just like this. Okay. Do you think it was planned or do you think that was pure just read?
They said it wasn't planned, so I don't
trust them.
Yeah, I do. I don't think it was planned. Okay. I think Noel's just that good. If it was anyone else, maybe, but I think he saw it out of the corner of his eye, and Hogard was so far up the line.
He was.
That was
like, that wasn't even like top blocking. That was like, I don't even know what that was.
That was basically playing Keontae Johnson like he's Stephen Curry.
Yeah.
And it's like, what are you doing? But I mean, he had a great game.
Yeah.
So don't want to kill him.
Yeah, and like all on a bum ankle too. Yeah, the second half, Noel goes out for a few minutes. MSU went on their run, and like you just like, what is there to say? Like some of the passes were just wild, and they look so simple to him. It was at 5'8", he's throwing like off the dribble, one hand, just cross court money, pick and roll. He's splitting hedges. He's getting to the roll man. He's throwing lobs. He's like any pass you can think of, he made. I tweeted this, and I think I still stand with this, at least for this year. Like, I don't think I've seen a guard more comfortable against the hedge or 2 on the ball than him. Like, it just doesn't matter. It doesn't phase him, especially. And it's wild, especially at 5'8". Like 2 guys come at him, and he just splits it, or he's triple threats, kind of steps through, makes the pass. It just doesn't matter. And it's been wild to watch.
It's been incredible, and I think I really think it has a lot to do with his height. I mean, it's difficult to. He's slippery, in those hedges and double teams. But what are you going to do? Just let him cook? I mean, maybe teams just start going under him because
just with the threes.
But he's 39%. I mean, he's chucking them up today, which he basically kept MSU in the game with some of his shot selection, which is just hilarious for a guy that smart. Like, it's just, I started laughing watching him because I'm just like, I
heard like a quote or an interview, and Tank said that there is vitamins. He just has to take them once or twice a game, and
I know I saw that
he
too.
Just deals with it.
I saw that too. He's like, he gets 1 a game or whatever. I'm like, okay, well, he's taking 4, so like, I mean, I don't know, but it's hilarious. Like, I was genuinely laughing out loud because on one hand, he's carving a team up like we've never seen, literally in history. And then on the other hand, he's just taking some of those possessions were just unexplainable. Like, just they didn't get anything going. There was the one possession where it seemed like they were going to set up a stagger on the far side, and they just didn't. That was the air ball, I think, that ended up being tipped.
Yeah.
That led to obviously the great shot by Masood there, who's a really nice player. But yeah, it was awesome. I mean, MSU going back and forth, them hitting shots as well. Hogard
was great this game.
Yeah, he was awesome. Bully ball, like, he's got a unique skill set. Anytime he got Noel on him, he bullied him.
Yep.
You know, I think I saw someone was saying, well, Tyson Walker attacks switches and Noel takes terrible step back. But, you know, they all have their own game and they play to it. And I think Tang, it was really cool. I mean, that interview with Tang was awesome. I mean, the guy is just an unbelievable coach in that he just gives his guys freedom. And I think confidence is just, if you can, it doesn't matter what you can do X's and O's wise, and he's great X's and O's wise. But like, if you can instill a level of confidence and freedom and empowerment in your guys, like, that's when you've reached that elite tier of coaches. And Tang he does it through love. He's not afraid of it. It's kind of a unique style. It's almost like a preacher kind of thing. But boy, he gets it, and he's got these guys playing. I mean, this is the type of coach you need for the portal era, right? Who can bring a team together that doesn't know each other, that has a lot of talent, but it's unrealized. And now your job is, you get these guys in June, and you have to have them this caliber level of team by March, and that's exactly what he's done. So all the props for Jerome Tang. He's a hell of a coach.
Yeah, and it's just, he done so well. I mean, it was brought up a bunch of K-State goes in the portal in that, and MSU doesn't, which is true to a degree. That's like Hauser and Walker transfers, but whatever.
Yeah, I mean,
we'll stick with the narrative of that. They're going in the portal this year too, anyways. But Kansas State had 2 All-Americans, right? I'm pretty sure Noel and Keontae were both All-Americans, and it showed. Keontae had a quiet 22. I'm going to be real. I didn't look at the stats before this, and I was fully expecting him to be like 14 points, 12 points. I guess he had 2 lobs, which is big. They had the opening and then close towards the end of regulation. I just remember, like, when they went to Keontae that first possession of OT, I was like shocked. I was like visually like, whoa, like this touched Keontae's hands. I don't remember that.
It did. It was such a Noel-centered attack for most of the game, and late clock they just looked to him. But boy, the creativity with the ball screens down the stretch by Tang and that staff. I mean, just disguising it, flowing into it's always going to end up in a middle pick and roll for Noel. But how does it look when they went to that horn set, when they got the 3 from Masood, where he pops and the big rolls, Tomlin rolls, and they get the open 3 from Masood. Like, I thought Tang basically struck all the right notes there down the stretch with those different types of ball screen sets.
Yeah, and he had I think it was, somebody called it like the wedge screen into the pick and roll, kind of, where you just like, I think it's right. Is that where you like down screen the big pretty much at an angle, and then
a diagonal screen, and
then have him come set up, and sometimes it set up the empty side pick and roll. A lot of times it was middle, like you said. Yeah, no, really creative ways to get him going, and he had 19 assists. Like, pretty much anytime he got past the screen, it was a bucket or he's dishing to somebody. And that's where one thing Kansas State does super well anyways is, and I could pull up the synergy numbers if I wanted to, like, they are an elite cutting team. And it helps when you have Noel, just like, hey, cut and I will find you. But and if you watch like that, especially that corner low man, like the corner in the weak side, like if Noel gets into the paint, that weak side corner guy is cutting every single time. And usually it's an athlete, right? Like, aside from Noel, pretty much everybody's an athlete up and down the roster. And so anybody cutting can go up and catch a lob.
And
they're elite. They caught MSU a few times on it.
Yeah, and MSU is the team to exploit. I mean, Hogard, we saw it on the famous play. I mean, I think when you have a point guard like that, you're much more apt to cut and try to fill space, because you know that you can get an easy shot. You get an easy dunk or an easy 3. I mean, and I think that obviously the huge play of the game was the tip 3 that then ends up in a and I don't know if that was a drawn up play or just kind of a scramble for Masood there. I think that is the spot I think that's vulnerable on baseline out of bounds, that the kind of far corner. It's a difficult pass, but I find that it's really, really vulnerable. So it was interesting that they went there and they sneak it through. A lot of times the pass isn't going to be pretty, but if you get it there, you'll get a decent look. Masood gets a good look for him, at least, not for most
and he knocked
people.
down some big jumpers today.
Yeah, I mean, his good looks for you and me are horrible looks, but again, when it's him, it's like, yeah, no problem. I'll just hit this deep, three from the middle of the floor.
The one was like 5. That one out of the horns was like 5 feet out of the.
Yeah, that was big time. And Hauser, I mean, he was awesome. Like MSU should get their due as well. I mean, they played a great game. Like you said, they did take advantage when Noel went down, but I thought Walker. I mean, Walker hits a big shot. Hauser was hitting shots the whole game. Hauser's just so good. I mean, his mechanics are just so good. And then obviously Hogard, kind of led the way there. Akins, people really, I think, kind of the national world kind of starting to take notice of him a little bit. I saw some tweets about Jaden Akins to be a future superstar, and I mean, I don't necessarily disagree. I think he's a really good player. Think if he can expand off the dribble, like, he could be really, really good. So yeah, they showed well for themselves. I mean, I think if they had a Naquan Tomlin, maybe that would have been the difference, because Sissoko just struggles at times, and he gets back cut too. He's one of the guys that's definitely guilty of it. So,
and that's the irony of this is, and I think this from Sleepers Media, not Waddell. Why am I scripts?
Carter Elliott.
Yeah, there it is. Carter Elliott tweeted basically of like MSU wins it probably if they have any production from the 5. And it's just ironic because the Big Ten, just if they had any production from guards, they're probably much, much better in the tourney. But as it goes, MSU, like, they played really well. Like, I thought they did as much as they could, I thought, defensively against Noel. Some guys hit some tough shots that you live with. I know I'm not going to go as far as say is they got lucky, as Izzo said in the post-game conference, which is just all right. But, this didn't feel like – this felt truly like a game Kansas State won for the most part, and not that MSU lost.
Well, and the funny part is these coaches, as Craig jumps on here, these coaches – oh, God. What have we walked into here? But I was just going to say that these coaches, with this Kansas State team, it seems like the coaches are always going home, and as they're going home, they're calling them lucky as they watch K-State move into the next round. So I don't know how much stock to put into that. I mean, I think Tang said it best. They just got more dudes than most teams left in this tournament. So,
and they do. Craig, what are your thoughts? We went through all the games, talking about MSU, K-State. Your thoughts from the thriller that was.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, like, I can't remember a Sweet 16 night that was better than tonight. Like I've really tried to think back of, like, okay, when can I think back to a Sweet 16 round that was better than tonight? Arkansas UConn was a letdown, and, like, legitimately coming into tonight, I thought that was the game. I thought that was going to be maybe the momentous upset of the night, and that was going to have all the drama, and it was the other 3 games. It's incredible. And the shot making in Michigan State, Kansas State, unreal. FAU's tenacity against that Tennessee rugby style defense, if you want to call it that, incredible. Gonzaga, I mean, to draw that play up at the end, and that had to have been a drawn up play.
Oh, like, yeah, it was.
Nobody looked around and thought, oh my God, I can't believe he shot that. Like, that was a drawn up play to shoot a 28-footer in that moment after your center dominated the game from start to finish.
Yeah.
And they just said, here, drill a 28-footer to put this away. Like, that tonight was incredible, man. From start to finish, just all the way through, other than the letdown that was the UConn-Arkansas matchup where we saw UConn's bigs. Everything else tonight was guard play. And then UConn-Arkansas was, we have 2 big men that can kill you inside all night, and they just fed it and fed it. Like, not the way we feed it at Purdue, but, like, just like rebounding and slips and rolls and all that type of stuff all night long. Just an amazing night of basketball in my mind all the way through.
Yeah, and that's, I kind of said at the start that like college basketball is in a great place, and I'll kind of repeat it. It's just like there are things to work out with specifics in the transfer portal, but like this transfer portal era, the NIL era, like it's just going to make college basketball so much better. You're going to see better players stay longer, and you're going to get more games like today. And I truly believe that. And I think we're set up for really good games tomorrow and the rest of the way.
Yeah. I have a question. So the FAU dude from Gary, did he start at FAU?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
And he's so like, to me, that's a little bit of an amazing story, right? Like that dude started at FAU, stayed at FAU.
Yes.
That's not a transfer story. And that dude's a dog, man. Like that
I
dude's
love
just a player.
I love him. I love him. He played the 4. I don't know if you know, on Indy Heat. He played the 4 with Jaden Ivey, Blake Wesley, and Caleb First.
And, well, that makes sense. If you have Blake Wesley and Jaden Ivey at the 2 and the 3 or the 1 and the 2, whatever it was, then I mean that makes sense. But like, how the hell do you let him get out of the state of Indiana, man?
Well, Dusty May's an Indiana guy, man. I mean, they know the state, and boy, I love him. I love him. He's one of my favorite players left in the tournament. He's just such a dog. He guarded Kamwa. I mean, Kamwa had what? Was he 2 of 11? Joe had the stats up. He said like 5 points or something. I mean, guys is just total stud at
2 and 9, 6 points.
Yeah, I mean, and this is a guy who had 27 against Duke last week, and this guy just 6'4", bald head, tough as hell. I'm gonna just guard you, 6'10". I don't care. Like, I love him. I think FAU is gonna beat K-State.
I do too. I said that tonight. I said I think FAU's the Final Four, man.
They're so good. It's crazy. They're so good.
Somebody said they said, are they the Cinderella story? And I said, are they? They were what, 33 and 3 or 33 and 2? Like,
yeah, it's not their fault they got made a 9 seed. That's
right.
what it was.
My comment was, I don't think they're a Cinderella story because I think everybody who watched FAU play understood how good FAU was, but they didn't have the resume to match that to be a 4 or a 5 seed.
Right.
But anybody who watched FAU play, FAUs, I don't know. Anyway, anybody who watched them play like knew they could be that good. So they don't have quite the same Cinderella story other teams might have had from that same seed. But I think if they get in the Final Four, I think that story will take off at that point. But up to this point, I think people are like, man, like that was a good team. We knew they were a good team. We just had to see them prove in a tournament that they could do the things that we thought they could from the eye test as we watched them from the outside, I guess is where I'm going with that.
Yeah.
No, and like out of the okay, I didn't watch the FAU Memphis game for obvious reasons. But at least the 2 I have watched, it's not like they've looked like the better team for large chunks of both. They looked like the better team against FDU, obviously. And then for a large chunk of this game, they looked like the better team. It's not like they were like, a lot of the upsets that we talked about, even like Princeton has just looked better. It's not like, oh, they shot 68% from 3 and put up 35 of them. They just are running stuff better. And I think that fits FAU. And that's, I agree. I don't think they're a Cinderella. I think they're just a legit good team.
Yeah. And I mean, you got to wonder, like, well, the funny part is, like, FDU gave them a great game. I mean, those guys are so tough as well. I mean, I think I was so impressed by them. Obviously, beat our team, whatever, but they really gave FAU a game. I think. What do you guys think about tomorrow? I mean, I'm gonna be in Louisville watching the games. I think I like obviously Creighton and Bama, and then the other ones. I don't know. I'm kind of inclined to go Texas, Houston, but I kind of want to pick against them. But I think that's how it's gonna play out. I don't know. I know.
So here's my thing. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Joe.
Oh no, you got it. I was thinking. So you got it.
Okay. Who does Houston play tomorrow? Miami, right?
Miami. Yep. Yeah.
So my thing all year has been, I don't feel like Houston has a bunch of shot makers. I don't think they can just out offense anybody. I think Houston lives off of making other people uncomfortable. And I don't think you're going to make Isaiah Wong uncomfortable. You've got Nigel Pack. There's a third guard on that Miami team, right? What's his name?
Jordan Miller. I mean, he's more of a wing, but he's still really good.
Right. Like,
Yeah.
I don't see Houston pushing Miami to the point where they feel uncomfortable. To me, if Houston gets a bunch of offensive rebounds, if they control the boards start to finish, then they can win that game. But I don't think their normal formula of like make all the guards super uncomfortable, make them make mistakes in the half court offense. I don't think that's going to work. Like, I think those Miami dudes are better than any a set of trio of guard wings they've faced to this point in the year. They did play Bama, I guess, but like did Bama beat them?
I think Houston won, right?
I think Houston
Right.
won 5.
Right.
No?
Bama
Yeah,
won?
no. Alabama won by 6. They
Okay.
lost to UConn by 15 and Gonzaga by 10.
Yeah. So I mean, I think that's one of those situations where like I don't think they're going to make their guards uncomfortable, and if Houston doesn't make the other team's guards uncomfortable, then I think they can be beat. So I took Miami to the Final Four in my initial bracket, and I'm sticking with it, guys.
All
There
right.
you go.
I love it.
See, as I go through it, like I'm picking all chalk, but like Houston, Miami would be my biggest. That'd be the one I would see the most for the upset. Then probably San Diego State, then Xavier, then Princeton, in that order of like most likely to least likely upsets. But
Wow, really? San Diego State over Xavier?
Yeah, I think Texas.
You
wins.
just think
I
they'd make it a
Texas kind of rolls.
dogfight?
Yeah, and if Miller's kind of hurt, I guess I'm kind of not banking on that. That sounds bad.
Well, none of us were high on Xavier, and I get that.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think that's part of it too. Is I just have the backside bias of I just haven't believed in them. Period. I thought they were out round 2.
I do think that'll be a good game. I don't know that Texas would really, beat them handily, but who knows, man? I would have told you 4 different things before tonight. So who really even cares?
I mean, UCLA and Gonzaga both blew double-digit leads today. So
right.
I took all the upsets today.
Really?
I genuinely thought every underseeded team would win, and man, I got close on Michigan State. I did not get close on Arkansas. But I just going into today, I thought, man, like every underseeded team, I thought that's a matchup they can win. Not necessarily that they would, but that's a matchup they like. There was wherever their glaring fault was, the other team didn't have an advantage to necessarily take advantage in a large way of their deficiency today. So I thought they were all going to be close, but man, I missed big on Arkansas UConn. So I don't know what you guys thought about that game going in. Did you think it was going to be close or not?
I thought UConn. I had a feeling UConn was going to roll.
I did. I thought it'd be like a single-digit win by UConn, but
that was my one, I guess, good prediction.
UConn's scary. I think to me they're going to the Final Four, and I love Gonzaga, but I think UConn's just. I just don't know how you stop him if Hawkins is going. I mean, maybe he won't be against them, but.
Craig, give us your Final Four picks. I'm sorry to cut you off, Aiden.
With what we have left.
Yeah.
Like who do you think is going to the Final Four now?
Oh,
we gave ours kind of as we talked.
Well, I can't remember like 12 teams off the top of my head. So
we have Alabama, San Diego State, and then they'll play the winner of Creighton, Princeton.
Alabama, San Diego, Alabama.
Okay, I see.
Yeah, that's a hard. Alabama's going to win the national championship by 25.
Oh, come on.
Other side is Houston, Miami, Xavier, Texas.
You say no, Aiden? I think they're the best team.
Not by 25. Come on.
I think they're the best team since the UNLV team everybody thought was going to win by 25 all the way through that also got beat in the national championship game.
I don't know. I don't want them to win, so I'm just.
I get that, but man, like Brandon Miller is an NBA player playing against college players.
No, I agree with that. I'm gonna see him in the flesh tomorrow. I'm excited.
Love the inside scouting report.
Yeah, I mean, I am excited for that.
So give me the other 4, Joe.
Houston, Miami, Xavier, Texas.
Miami.
The U.
There you go. And then
I'm
it's
taking guard play.
Gonzaga, UConn. I went Gonzaga purely on vibes.
I hate this matchup because I don't think UConn's athletic enough. I don't think their guards are athletic enough. They're really good jump shooters, but I don't think none of those guys can actually attack the rim.
What guards do you like on Gonzaga?
I don't. That's what I'm saying. I wanted to see I wanted an athletic guard matchup against UConn to expose their guards, but Gonzaga doesn't present that. So I still think Drew Timmy's been to a Final Four, right?
They lost in the national championship to Baylor.
Yeah, whatever.
30
blown out. Yeah.
I
thought it was gonna be such a good game too.
I like both of UConn's big men, but I think Drew Timmy's got that old school YMCA game that's just gonna school those guys. There's something about this Gonzaga team, the way they're playing and the way they're winning. The fact that dude hit that shot in that moment, I'm riding some faith here. And UConn's been UConn's gone really, really high. Like when UConn's the best version, similar to Purdue this season. When UConn is the best version of themselves, they're incredible.
Yeah.
When UConn's not hitting threes, they're terrible. And I could see them having a game where they just aren't knocking stuff down. And I just think Timmy's gonna old school YMCA those guys down low. So I'm going with Gonzaga.
See, I also had Gonzaga, and it was like I said, it was purely just on vibes. Like nothing from the matchup makes me want to lean Gonzaga or anything. It's purely like Timmy just wins it somehow. I don't know how.
Aidan has no emotions in this or vibes. He's all pragmatic, and he's like, no way, UConn.
He's like UConn is the better matchup.
No, I don't know. It's blind faith. That's your guys' Gonzaga reason.
I'm sticking with it.
Aidan, psychology is also a science. Social sciences are sciences too.
Exactly.
I know.
I will say, in my bracket, I think I have the West region entirely correct, and I have Gonzaga going to the Final Four. I think I picked every game right.
I have Gonzaga in my national championship, so hopefully they win for that reason. But
I had Gonzaga versus UConn. Gonzaga.
Before you jump, I had a tweet. I put it out. I don't know if you guys saw, but basically, if the NCAA wrote a script, it is 100% Gonzaga beating Alabama in the championship. If the NCAA could write a script, it would be that.
Oh no, that would be beautiful though.
That would be what they wanted.
Or K-State. I mean, everyone loves K-State now.
I mean, the morality. No,
but you need the villain of Alabama.
The morality script of Gonzaga beating Alabama would have been better had few not gotten the DUI 2 years ago.
I forgot about that part. I'm going to be real.
Right. We don't have many good options. We got Houston, who they're scumbags. I mean, we don't have that many good options to beat Alabama on that side.
What's the other? You guys left out a region. You guys left out a region for me.
K-State, K-State, FAU, yeah.
FAU, man. I'm riding this. What? I don't think it's a Cinderella story, but I'm riding FAU here. I just think they're so switchable on what they can do defensively, and they have so many different guys that can score at opportune times. They've got dudes that are dudes, but everybody on there can score, and they switch friggin' everything defensively. I'm riding FAU, man.
There you have it. Those 4 will come true, as said by Craig Bowers. Do we have
friggin' Damas?
Yep. Do we have anything else, or just want to wrap this up?
No, we could give ours, I guess, now that it's updated. Although we always do this over and over again every episode, but I still got Houston, UConn, FAU, Bama. I want Creighton, but I think Bama.
Houston, Gonzaga, Kansas State, and Bama over Creighton Bailey. Yeah, that's what I'll go with.
I'll still stick with. I said it when we did the bracket show. Creighton is the ultimate boomer bust team. And they could boom all the way to the national champ. Like if their starting five play the best version of their starting five, they can beat anybody in the tourney.
Well, they basically did against Baylor. I mean, they didn't. The shot making in that game was stupid.
Yeah, but Baylor doesn't play defense this
That's
year.
true, but they were tough shots. I mean, it was impressive.
Yeah. So I still think Creighton could win the national championship just because the best version of their starting five is as good or better than anybody. But if any of them are off and they have to rely on their bench, then like friggin' just throw a weight into the ocean and pray, you know?
Yeah, you hope that game comes tomorrow against Princeton. They get by and then they're ready to go. But yeah, whoever comes out of that, I mean, you're feeling great getting FAU or K-State. So
yeah,
I mean, we'll see.
Yeah.
So.
All right. You got anything else? I got all my takes and all that out. So
I'm good. Right. I got work at 6 a.m. So
see how this goes. Less than 5 hours.
You work on Fridays? Man, that's rough. You got to get professor status there, buddy.
Well, hey, can I TA for Professor Bowers?
There you go. So we'll be back again live tomorrow. It'll be we're bringing on a Big East guy, actually, Ryan Cassidy. I think he's at Ryan Cassidy CBB on Twitter. Be able to talk some Big East, talk some hoops. Aiden won't be here. Craig, you're welcome to hop on if you want, of course. But me and Ryan will for sure be on breaking down all the Sweet 16 games again, previewing Elite Eights, talking Big East with him because he does know his stuff there for sure. So appreciate everybody tuning in. Exciting day of games. I think it's going to be another really exciting day tomorrow and the rest of the way. So appreciate everybody tuning in, and we'll catch you in the next one.